Hey everybody, welcome back. It has been a while. Finnigan 40K. I said last time during my previous video that we were going to probably do a World Eaters narrative crusade. I might put that on hold. I, for some reason, just got this inkling to get a bunch of Aeldari, so I've been collecting Aeldari for the last little bit. Got the Combat Patrol, which includes, Warp Spiders, Dire Avengers, some other models like that. I also got the Avatar of Khaine, a couple of vehicles. So I might, mattering how this battle goes, make my next Narrative Crusade an Aeldari Narrative Crusade. I haven't collected Aeldari since the late 90s, early 2000s when they were pewter. Back then in second edition as well, they had like alliances in the books. So the rule book would have like the Squats and the Eldar back then teamed up with Space Marines, Imperial Guard. And then you'd have like the outliers. So Chaos would sometimes be allied with Orcs, stuff like that. That changed out. But I haven't collected them for a long time. They got a reboot a little while ago. And this battle is going to be very lore specific. So if you guys know Aeldari, they were actually the ones that fueled the Chaos God Slaanesh and brought it into being. The Aeldari do not ever speak its name, but to them it is called Sai'lanthresh, which translates over to she who thirsts. So in this fight, I have our Aeldari. Their force is called the Hunters of Sai'lanthresh, and you just saw them at the start, 615 points. Made up of Finnigan, used to be Finnigan Raw. Looks like they removed that. He's got his Fire Dragons. We have 2 squads of Dire Avengers, a Spirit Seer, and Wraithguard. And they are taking on a pretty large force of those representing She Who Thirsts. So it's made up of Emperor's Children and Demonic Seeker models, which are Slaanesh demons. They come in at 615 points as well. I have never played Aeldari ever, so this is going to be super interesting. They got some new rules as well. Just from looking at them on paper, they seem like a very fast force. Not very tough though, so I don't know how their staying power is going to be with that 3 toughness. They do have some very powerful weapons though, especially the Fire Pike and the Fire Dragons kind of Melta version for the Aeldari. The Avengers also can put down a whole bunch of fire from their Shuriken Avenger catapults, so we'll see how that goes. And then the Emperor's Children are outnumbering them by quite a bit. Higher toughness. We have the Tormentors in there, and there's some mix of long range and short range, so we're going to see how this goes. The Eldar are outnumbered, and it looks like their force is kind of built to be able to like hit fast and hard and then get out, because they are not very strong to be able to hold anything. I'm just going to take the camera off here and show you guys. I have yet to put the terrain down, but it's going to be a very small battle board. It's going to be all covered with jungle terrain, very similar to what you guys saw. Going to shoot this video over a couple of days, likely knock off some of the rust as well, because it's been a while. We know 11th edition is probably just around the corner, or some people are calling it 10.5. Don't know how many rules are going to change there. We'll see. Very, very nice to hear that I'll probably be able to use my current codexes, though, in the application, just with some rule changes. I'm super stoked to hear that Apocalypse might be coming back, because I have some massive armies, if you guys have been watching for a while, and Apocalypse rules with some buddies might be the exact way to really get a good game in that's massive and fast. This one is going to be super quick because, again, I just want to test the Aeldari out. If I don't like them, I'll still collect and paint, because that's my #1 thing with this hobby, but might not do the Narrative Crusade, so we'll see how this one goes. It is going to be 3 turns. There's going to be 1 force starting on this side of the table. It's probably actually good that you guys don't have the terrain out yet, because you'll be able to see. The other force is going to start on the opposite side, and it is going to be 3 turns, and whoever has the most objective points at the end, so holding this center objective, is going to win the battle. So again, it's going to be a tough order for those Aeldari. They have less models, not the best toughness to be able to hold down objectives, but we'll see if their firepower can absolutely decimate the Emperor's Children. The Wraithguard are pretty good, very similar to Terminators, I find, but with better weapons. So we'll get into it. I'm learning with this one too, so if you guys have been playing Eldar or Aeldari since the beginning of time, let me know how you guys strategize with them and do it up. I've used the Emperor's Children now a few times, so I'm probably more well-versed with them, but this is those who are hunting Sai'lanthresh, and we have She Who Thirsts represented by those Emperor's Children. So let's get to it. I'm going to get the roll off here in a second, and we'll see where the forces are lining up, and I'll show you guys where they are on the table, and there's going to be a whole bunch of terrain when we come back in just a second. Let's get this roll off started. I just placed all of my amazing aquatic plants down. I've been collecting those as well. Some of these are probably as old as my first Aeldari models. I've got tons of aquarium plants. They're probably pretty expensive now though, with everything going up in price. Glad I got them when I did. It was an investment. They last forever, and it makes the battlefield look so bright. This might be our most just colorful battle to date too. We have the pinks and purples of the Emperor's Children. We have the oranges, the blues of our Aeldari. I'm also using the craft world of Alaitok. I hope I'm saying that right. Alaitok is my craft worlds. They've got the dark blue with the yellow helmets. I have got a whole bunch of Guardians as well that are still to be painted up in my Otark. I have my Avatar of Cain. So if I do a narrative crusade with these guys, you're going to see more of those models. Wave Serpent, Viper, got a lot of stuff right off the bat. Went a little crazy. Anyways, here we go. We're going to start rolling off. So black is going to be Emperor's Children, and red is going to be our Aeldari. They're angry. They want to correct their wrongs in creating Slaanesh. So here we go. Let's roll for Emperor's Children first. Actually, you know what? Let's roll them at the same time, see what happens. Be like a Beyblade battle in there or something. So we have a 2 for our Aeldari, and we have a 4 for the Emperor's Children. So I am going to be placing the Emperor's Children first. I'll show you guys where they are on the table, and then we will get this one kicked off. Forces are set up. Here we go. We saw that Slaanesh won the roll there. I have my Seekers going to stream down the side of the board. They're very quick models. The Infractors and the Tormentors, I think. I'm going to have to get those names down. They're in there on either side of the Lord Cacophonist with his cacophony. Again, tons of models. There are 26, 27, 30 in total. And across from them, just so you guys can see here, this is starting from the side of the Seekers. We have the Wraithguard and the Spirit Seer. That's going to hopefully be able to buff them out a little bit. We have Finnigan Raw with his Fire Dragons in the middle holding it down. And then on their right flank, facing off against our Chaos Space Marines here, the Emperor's Children, we have the 2 squads of Dire Avengers, and there is the Alaitok flag there, or banner representing. So they are from that craft world. They have just decided to become the Dire Avengers path, and same with our Fire Dragons here, and then of course the Wraithguard are done up in the color scheme of Alaitok as well. So let's get to this one. It is going to be the Emperor's Children going first. They won the roll-offs. They're going to start it up, and they will have to hold this position for 3 turns. Whoever has the most CP at the end of this, I'm not going to be counting up every single turn. It's going to literally be the end of the fight, and we're going to add up everything and see who's got the most objective points for the center objective. Busted up old Imperium Nachmund terrain. We got plants growing through the center of it. There's an old radio station. So they're fighting over this. They hate each other. And I think the Aeldari hate themselves more for having created them. So let's see how they do, and if they can avenge their fallen brethren and those souls that have been stolen by She Who Thirsts. Emperor's Children have moved up. They're starting to get very close to that objective. My strategy with them is to have the Lord Cacophonist and the Noise Marines behind him take that center objective and hold it. I was just checking out some abilities there. I'm going to have to stay on top of it because there's always lots of stuff that has to be added, buffed up, all that kind of stuff regarding who's leading what units. There might be some stuff in shooting range here, so I'm going to just check that out and see if there's also line of sight. Some very cool stuff from the Aeldari too, though, on the ability side, so we'll get to that when we flip over to them. But Finnigan seems like a pretty big badass. Very, very good model. I'm glad I selected him as my warlord here. The Lord Cacophonist outdoes him in wounds and in toughness, but we'll see, because Finnigan can come back from the dead if certain rolls are done, or at least I guess he fights beyond any kind of mortal wound. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to check ranges here, and we're going to get to that in just a sec. The Seekers moved up 14 inches very, very fast. They are melee, however, so not any range attack with them. So it's possible those Wraithguard could shred them. We'll have to see what happens. And I'm also very glad that I brought in a Spirit Seer, because he is going to be able to, or she, whoever's in the armor there, is going to be able to lead those Wraithguard very well and give them a lot of bonuses. But yeah, check some ranges, be right back, and let you know if we're going to be doing any shoots. So I was just checking line of sight, and we do have one of the Tormentors that has a Dire Avenger in range and in line of sight. And if I just flip it over here to their side, it is this guy on the end. You can see down the table line that there is. This terrain, though, is very dense. The Noise Marines do not have a line of sight. They've got the structure obscuring that. 12 inches for the Emperor's Children here, so they're not in range. And then again, as I said, those Seekers do not have anything more than melee. So I'm going to get over the tray, do a quick roll. We're going to see how these Dire Avengers do. Toughness 3, not amazing. I believe they do have an invulnerable save, though, which is pretty sweet for, I don't want to say a basic unit, but we'll see how it goes. Over the tray. Here we are at the tray. So this is going to be our Tormentor firing the bolt gun. The one behind him does not have line of sight because he'd be shooting his buddy in the back there. And yeah, let's see how it goes. So this is going to be 2 attacks hitting on a 3+. Both are through. It is a toughness 4 weapon versus, a strength 4 weapon versus toughness 3. So it's going to be 3s to wound. Both are through again. The bolt gun here for the Chaos Space Marines does not have an AP, where the bolt rifle for Primaris Marines does, but there's still 2 shots through. So this is going to be the Dire Avenger saving this with a 4+. Here we go. So he was able to save 1. It is 1 damage. The Dire Avengers sadly only have 1 wound. Their Exarch has 2. So that is the loss of a Dire Avenger. They don't, I believe, have a Feel No Pain. That 5+ invulnerable is only for weapons that will bring them beyond the regular save. So we have lost a Dire Avenger, and that is the first casualty of the fight. We're now going to be moving back over to the Aeldari, and they are going to be moving and hopefully getting some range down on the Chaos Space Marines to thin their numbers, because they're going to need it. Our Aeldari movement is done. The Wraithguard here have a very similar move to the Terminators as well. 1 inch slower than their counterparts. However, Eldar move at 7 inches, so these guys can move 6. They have 3 wounds apiece and some very good weaponry, and we are actually going to see how that's going to work, because they have all of the Seekers of Slaanesh in range and in line of sight. So let's see what these Aeldari can do. Again, these guys are a little bit stronger, but the rest of the models, like toughness of an Imperial Guardsman, weaponry better, but they're very fragile, it seems, like a frail, I don't want to say race, but they're like elves from Lord of the Rings. So you have, Isildur supposed to throw the ring into the fire, he doesn't, and that's humans. They call us monkeys, the Aeldari. Lots of Lord of the Rings kind of lore in Warhammer as well. And then, these guys are the Eldar elves, ancient beings that have been, alive for centuries at least. And a dying race, but still really good weaponry, just kind of frail and very elvish. Over on this side here, I don't think there's going to be anything in range or line of sight. If we bring this down, the Aeldari aren't going to be able to shoot them. They got a wall there. Our Noise Marine's still in good cover. Over here, it's a different story. So I'll bring this camera back up here. We have our Tormentors that are pretty much, I think, 60% open for being fired upon. So the Dire Avengers have come right into the bush. These 4 here are not in line of sight. But from this angle here, you guys can see that there's lots of Dire Avengers that can put some rounds down on these Emperor's Children. So we're going to move over to the tray. I'm just going to do lines of sight here off camera, make sure everything is legit, because as you guys know, I always play very fair for both sides. And then to finish up, we have Fuegan and the Fire Dragons in behind cover as well. So these are going to be my 2 kind of rock units, I'll say, for each side. So those Noise Marines want to hold this. The Fire Dragons want to hold this. We'll see who has it at the end. We're almost coming up to the end of turn 1 here after the shoot. No one's in hand-to-hand combat. And then we're going to flip it back over to the Emperor's Children for their move and see what happens. Just checking lines of sight there. So we have 4 Dire Avengers, the one that lost the Dire Avenger. They all have Tormentors in their line of sight and in range. And then there's 2 from the other squad that's closer to the inside of the table. They are also going to be able to fire. And then there are the 4 Emperor's Children that I showed you just a second ago that are in behind the wall that are going to be safe. The Avenger Catapult seems to be a hell of a weapon. Like, not amazing strength, but you get a lot of shots from it. So it's 4 attacks per. Pretty cheap unit too, 75 points. They don't have too many wounds, and again, a toughness 3. But they do have, yeah, we'll see how it goes here. It is going to be against Tormentors, though. They've got, you know, the same kind of toughness as that weapon's strength. So let's get rolling here. I'm going to start off. We'll do 1 Dire Avenger at a time. So I'm going to start up with the one on the far right here. 3 pluses to hit as well, so very good unit for that. That is through. I should actually check abilities here too while we're live. Yeah, so nothing that's going to help them there. There is Asserman, who is their Phoenix Lord. I'm not sure. I don't have his model yet. I've been looking at him. Looks pretty sweet. Blue's my favorite color, so it works well. I might get him in the future. We'll have to see, but for now, just trying to paint up and build the rest of my Aeldari models to maybe put them into a Narrative Crusade. We'll see how this goes. So all these are through. It is Strength 4 against Toughness 4, Force to Wound. And all 3 are through. So that's pretty amazing. They do have a -1 to AP as well. So this is, that is pretty cool. This is going to be a 4+ save now for the Tormentors. I'm just going to check. I don't think they have a Feel No Pain, even though they do enjoy pain. It's not going to work. So yeah, no extra save, no invulnerable save. So this is going to be 4 pluses for them. And 1 has taken a wound. So again, these guys are Space Marines at one time. So they do have 2 wounds apiece. So that's going to take a bit, and I'm glad these Shuriken, Avenger Shuriken Catapults can get some fire on them because it's going to be needed. I'm going to roll here the other 2 Avengers that are in here, and then they have their Exarch as well, or Exarch. So this is going to be 8 shots, hitting on a 3+ again. And not a bad roll. Can't re-roll anything there, but we'll still take this. It is 4 on 4, so 4 is to hit or to wound. That wasn't as good. So we got 1 shot through. It's a 5. Pull this out, and it is going to have that -1 AP, so it's a 4+ to save for the Tormentors. And he got it this time. So that is it for the Avenger troops. I'm going to now move to the Exarch, who has a Shuriken Pistol. Not as good as the Avenger Shuriken Catapult, but let's see what he can do here. It's still a 3+ to hit. Got it. It is a Strength 4 as well against Toughness 4, Force to Wound. Got that as well. -1 to AP, so it's not bad. This is like a heavy bolt pistol kind of thing, but a little better. I don't know. Yeah, the Avenger Shuriken Catapult is definitely better than a bolt rifle, but let's see how this goes. So 4+ again. And a 2. So our Tormentor that was wounded has been lost. So pretty even right now. We have 1 dead Tormentor, Emperor's Children, Chaos Space Marine, 1 dead Avenger. The thing is that Tormentor has 2 wounds and the Avenger only has 1. So not too bad. I'm going to fire with the other 2 that have the Tormentors in their line of sight and range. So I'll grab another 8 dice and we will roll those. Very cool that they have this many attacks. I like that a lot. I always try now as well, like after having played a lot, and I don't know if you guys do this, but if there's weapons that are twin-linked with maybe a lower strength and many shots that can be put down, that's usually what I'm selecting now. And the Aeldari have a lot of those. They have like the Sun Cannon or something it's called. It's a strength 8, but it's got a lot more shots. And when it's on something that's twin-linked, it's going to give you, I think, a lot more chance of being able to wound or kill. So I'm going to see how that goes if we do this crusade. So there's 4 that fell off. We needed, 3 pluses. I got to pay attention to this. So we have 5 that are through. Strength 4, Toughness 4, Force to Wound. Not another great roll again. Luckily, we have that -1 AP, though. That's a game changer. So we have a 5 and a 6. Those have wounded. And let's see if our tormentors are going to be able to save this. Looking for 4+. So 1 was saved, 1 is a 2. So that means another tormentor is down to 1 wound. However, that is the end of our Dire Avengers that have range and line of sight. I'm now going to look at the profile for my Wraithguard and see what they're going to do against these Seekers, and then we'll come right back and I'll show you guys the aftermath of the shoot phase. So far, pretty even, but again, those Emperor's Children have a lot more models, a lot more wounds, and a higher toughness. I thought might as well break it up a little bit here. So we have our Dire Avengers in the heat of the jungle. The mist is coming down off of the foliage above. They have been able to shoot in and kill 1 Tormentor, Emperor's Children, Chaos Space Marine, and another is wounded with 1. They have, however, lost 1 of their numbers. It is now flipping over to the other side of the table where we have the Wraithguard taking on the Seekers. The Seekers do not have any kind of ranged attack, so I'm hoping that this is going to go very well for the Aeldari. These Seekers represent demons of Slaanesh, and the Aeldari definitely want to kill them. The Wraithguard are pretty cool too. They are Aeldari warriors that have fallen in combat, and before they knew what was going on, She Who Thirsts, so Slaanesh, the demon god, was able to steal the souls of Aeldari, but then they got soul stones, and when they are killed in combat, that soul stone takes their soul into it, and these Wraithguard each have one of those stones within their armor, and that means that an Aeldari that has passed in battle is actually animating the suit through, it's like a cool, like, I don't know, I'll call it like a holy river that they have. And then the Spirit Seer at the back is an Aeldari that's still alive, but due to his psychic capability, he is able to control them better than if they would be alone. So we're going to see what they can do with some absolutely phenomenal firepower. So we'll go over the tray and chat about that in just a sec. So I'm not going to be using all of these abilities here, but this is the Spirit Seer and what he is able to do when he's leading something called a Wraith Construct. So the Wraithguard fall into that. There's the Wraith Lord. There's the Wraith Knight, which is a big, massive knight model for the Aeldari. And the Spirit Seer can control them due to the psychic ability that he has. So the Spirit Mark, once per turn in your movement phase, when this model starts or ends a move, select 1 friendly Wraith Construct unit within 6 inches. In this case, it is all of my Wraithguard. And 1 enemy unit visible to this model. Until the start of your next movement phase, weapons equipped on models in that friendly unit have the sustained hits 1 ability while targeting that enemy unit. So I'm not really using those extra sustained hits, but just wanted to read that one. This is the bigger one. Tears of Isha, or Aisha. This is a psychic ability. In your command phase, select 1 friendly Wraith Construct unit within 6 inches of this model. That would be our Wraith Guard right now. If 1 or more of those models in that unit are destroyed, you can return 1 destroyed model to that unit. Otherwise, 1 model in that unit regains up to D3 lost wounds. Each unit can only be selected for this ability once per turn. So that means that probably one of the strongest infantry units of the Aeldari, being the Wraith Guards, have the ability to be brought back every single turn, which, you know, for the Termagants and the Tyrannid, it's nice because it's just a little skittering enemy, but this is a 3-wound, very good model. The range weapons that are on them too are Wraith Cannons, and I just wanted to be sure that this was legit, but the war gear options, this is actually legit. So all of the models in this unit can have their Wraith Cannon replaced with 1 D-Scythe. So that means that the war gear that's given to these models is the Wraith Cannon, and I just want to read you guys its stats. So the D-Scythe is pretty good for a torrent weapon. It's a strength 7 compared to like a regular flamer. That's insane. Some of the Primaris Marines have like a 5 with their you know, Infernus Marine units. But this is, it's a torrent weapon, so the D-Scythe, strength 7, D6 attack, -3 AP, 1 damage. However, this is the Wraith Cannon, so a little bit harder to roll with, but this is pretty much having like a las cannon attached to an infantry unit. So it is 1 attack, not amazing, but if you have all 5 of them firing, better chance. Hits on a 4+, it is strength 14, so that's like taking on Land Raiders. Like, that's the kind of strength we're talking about there. -4 to AP, and if you do land a wound, it is D6 +1 damage. So we're going to see, you know, I'm blowing a lot of smoke up their ass right now, but let's see how this does against Seekers. So I'm going to roll our Wraith Cannons all at once. So this is 5 dice. We are hitting on a 4+. That's the only downside to this because it is, I guess, such a powerful weapon. That doesn't count because I didn't roll it. So we're looking for 4+s here. So we got 2 through, and this is the only downside to that weapon, and there's no ability to reroll. The Spirit Seer doesn't help them do rerolls, but we do have 2 through. It is strength 14 versus a toughness of 4, so this is going to be 2s to wound. Both are through. -4 to AP. The Seekers do have a 5+ invulnerable, so we're going to use that for them. They usually have a 7+, so if they're in cover, they'd have a 6, but they do have a 5+ invulnerable. I'm just going to check their abilities to see if they have any. Nope. And there's no feel no pain for them, so looking for 5s here. Holy shit. And they saved it. So, you know, the Wraith Cannon, pretty damn good. I just got very lucky there with the Seeker's rolls. If this had gone through, though, let's just see how much damage would have done. So let's say, oh, those aren't 6s, those are 4s. Let's just see how much damage we're doing here. And that's a very shitty roll. So this would have been 4 damage total. We're not going to do that anymore, but Wraith Cannon, so maybe my next set of Wraith Guards, I'll give them D-Scythes. We'll have to see, or just give them that profile to do Torrent, because the Strength 7 Torrent weapon is still phenomenal. That is the end of turn 1 for this battle. So we have had the, you know what, I'll pull the camera off and break this up again for you guys. So we had the Emperor's Children move. We have those Noise Marines and the Lord Cacophonist moving up to that main objective. On the flanks, we have Tormentors and Infractors. We have the Seekers up the side there, which are hoping to be blown away, but didn't happen. Couple of wounds on either side. On the Aeldari side, we have the Wraith Guard taking up the Dire Avengers taking up the right flank. We have the Fire Dragons led by the Warlord Foigan for this battle in the center. And then we have our Wraith Guard, which I was talking up big time with those Wraith Cannons. They didn't do great. Hoping they do better. I also just hit the communication tower. I think it's time for dinner. But yeah, so we'll see how this battle progresses. These things still have that 3 wounds. Pretty good toughness too, so we'll see how it goes. And we'll also check and see how they're going to be in hand-to-hand combat, because these Seekers are going to be flying in there pretty soon to get to it. So we're going to be back in a couple seconds. Might be maybe an hour or so for me. I'm going to go have some dinner. I'm starving. And yeah, we'll come back and see how this one finishes up. We are back, and Slaanesh has just finished their movement. We had the Emperor's Children Space Marines roll up. Those Dire Avengers are going to be put to the test now to see what kind of staying power they actually have, because that entire section of Emperor's Children have them in range and in line of sight. And they're going to be taking on the squad that already is down 1 member. So we're going to see how they do with their saves. They do have that invulnerable, so hopefully that's okay. The Lord Cacophonist and his Noise Marines have moved up behind the main tower here. They are within the objective. That is also the same probably for the Fire Dragons next turn. I'll show you guys in just a sec. So the way this is going to work at the end of turn 3, we're currently just beginning turn 2. We're going to add up the objective control points, and then from there see who's got this one. Over here, we had the remaining Chaos Space Marine, Emperor's Children Marines move up. They have bolt pistols. There's actually a couple of the Fire Dragons in range and in line of sight. So that's these 2 right here. We're going to also see how they do against a few bolt pistols. And we have some hand-to-hand combat that's going to happen as well. The Seekers have locked into it with the Wraith Guard, led by the Spirit Seer. And we're going to see how these things can do in hand-to-hand. I was super stoked to see them do some massive damage to these things last turn, but that 4+, being a guardsman player, I know is very tough to get sometimes. So hopefully they can survive this hand-to-hand, deal some damage back, kind of bounce off, and then start to put some of those Wraith Cannons down on the other Emperor's Children models, because I think the Aeldari are going to need it if they want to pull this off. So let's get to it. We're going to move over to the tray, get some shoots going. I'm just going to check one more time for line of sight and range to make sure that we are counting everything that is possible. And then we'll take it to the tray and start rolling. Behind the tray, once again, we're going to get this shoot started. Another big issue here, the Meltagun of the Tormentors squad is within 6 inches, which means that I am going to get a Melta bonus on top of that. So I think I'm going to start with that weapon because it does have enough damage to actually kill the Dire Avengers outright. They do have that 5+ invulnerable though, and I think it's going to be needed more here than anywhere in the battle so far. So here we go. It is going to be the Tormentor Meltagun rolling first. This is hitting on a 3+. Didn't get it. So that is pretty awesome. Next up is the Plasma Gun. So we're going to do that as well. It is within 12 inches, so it's going to be a rapid fire 1. So we get 2 shots. I don't do, like I've told you guys before in videos, and if you haven't watched before, I'm not big on all these like sustained hits, mortal wounds, this and that. That's why I'm really excited for Apocalypse to come back out. I think it's kind of like just an easier version of Warhammer. We'll see what they come out with the new rules, but I'm hoping that that's going to be the way it is. And having started in 2nd edition, the rules have kind of gone crazy, but I do use the Rapid Fire 1, Melta 2, like those basic buffs for weapons. So we're looking for 3+ here with the Plasma Gun. This time, both of those have fired true. It is a strength 7 versus a toughness of 3. This is where that toughness is not great for the Aeldari. This is going to be 2s to wound. Both of those are through as well. So the Plasma Gun standard is a -2 to AP. The Dire Avengers usually have a 4+ save, so it is going to be their invulnerable 5+. So let's see how it goes here. So looking for 5s. 1 was saved, which is great. The Plasma Gun standard also only does 1 damage, so there has been another Dire Avenger killed from that unit, but better than what could have happened if that Meltagun had fired. It would have been not good. The Emperor's Children champion in there as well, used to be a sergeant, has a plasma pistol, so we're going to be rolling for that. 3+. He got it. Once again, strength 7, toughness 3, 2 to wound. Didn't get it. Didn't wound. And there's no abilities there for rerolls. They're not being led by anyone, so that's been very lucky for the Aeldari. Very, very cool. And now we're going to fire off with the rest of the bolt guns. So I'm just going to count those up to make sure I'm not missing any. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. This is going to be 12 bolt gun shots coming in here against the Dire Avengers. This is where it might get a little bit dicey. And even with a strength 4 weapon, that toughness of 3 is going to lend some pretty good wounds to the Emperor's Children. So their bolt gun, as I mentioned before, it's not a bolt rifle, so it doesn't have any minus to AP. So I'm hoping that this is going to maybe not do as much damage as it possibly could. Still 2 shots per though, and it hitting on a 3+. So no way to re-roll those. So a few did fall off. I'm just going to remove those. So the remaining have all hit. They are 3 or above. I'm just going to double check. Yep. So it is 4 against toughness 3. This is going to be 3s to wound. This is the big difference maker here. So let's see if it's wounding. Wow, and that is a garbage roll by the Tormentors. So tons of 1s, a couple of 2s. Can't add anything onto that. There's no special rules. So of all of those bolt guns firing, there's only 1 that went through. And it is going to be a 4+ save because there's no AP. So back over to the Dire Avengers for their save. Didn't save it, so that is another Dire Avenger dead. But that's probably the best case scenario. We lost 2 models there, and it could have been a possibility of that whole Dire Avenger squad. And then the other one beside it if that Meltagun and Plasma Gun had hit. So we're going to move over to the Infractors in a second, who are going to be firing upon the Fire Dragons that are out in the open. And we're going to see, fingers crossed, that that's going to do the same thing. I also have to check because, do that while we're on camera actually. There is a shrine token which each of the like specialized units, so the Fire Dragons have one, as do the Dire Avengers. I just want to see what that does. So once per battle for each aspect shrine token this unit has, you can change the result of 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll made for a model in this unit, excluding character models, to an unmodified 6. So that's pretty, I'm going to have to put that into play. It's too bad I didn't look at that earlier. Again, this is like chess. We just took our finger off the piece, so that turn is behind us. So I'll just read it again. Once per battle for each aspect shrine token. There's going to be 3 here in total. 1 with the Fire Dragons, 1 for each of the Dire Avenger units. you can change the result of one hit roll or one wound roll. So that's going to be for their rolls. I thought it was maybe against them, but it's still going to be good if I'm surviving here to the next round to fire. It looks like I will with at least 1.5 Dire Avenger units. We'll see what happens to the Fire Dragons, but that's very good to know. And we can kind of use that token, scrap it, and then get the result of a hit roll or wound roll changed out. So over to the other side of the table, I'm just going to go check all that again, make sure that everyone's in range, line of sight, and then we'll get rolling in the tray in just a sec. Break this up a bit and show you guys what I'm seeing. So from this angle, there's a Fire Dragon just at the very edge of that wall there. This side here, if you swing it around, these two on the left can see. The two to the right of them can see this Fire Dragon that's literally straight ahead. I'll try to zoom this in. My little mic on top kind of blocks the zoom button. So this is a better angle. Maybe we'll do it like this. So this guy's in line of sight from the infractors here. And then if we swing it around here, this guy becomes line of sight with that arc. And that's going to be the two on the far left that are firing here from the Emperor's Children side. So there's going to be 4 of the Emperor's Children here with their bolt pistols on the left. They're going to be able to fire on the Fire Dragons. We'll move to the rolling tray and get that rolled right now. I just wanted to show you guys what I'm looking at. All right, so now that we've seen those angles, we do have 2 of the Fire Dragons open. They also have a token, and I just want to see what that's going to be able to do. So once per battle, for each aspect shrine token this unit has, you can change the result of one hit roll or one wound roll. So it's the same. So it's not going to give them the ability to like lessen, you know, some kind of like light goes off or something and blinds the enemy. They do have a 5+ invulnerable though, similar to their Dire Avenger buddies there. So this is going to be the infractors. I'm going to fire the 2 first with their bolt pistols at the Dire Avenger that's in the middle. So bolt pistols, 1 attack apiece. We'll roll them each at the same time, hitting on 3+. So 1 hit, 1 did not. It is a strength 4 again against toughness 3, 3 to wound. And it also did not. So this is going very well for the Aeldari so far. The Emperor's Children are not rolling great, but this is going to make the battle interesting. We're now going to move over to the 2 on the far left that are firing at the Fire Dragon that's kind of covered by that corner wall from certain angles, but is actually open to those 2 on the far left. So here we go again, 2 bolt pistols. It is hitting on a 3+, 1 shot each. Those have both hit this time, 4 and 4. Strength 4, toughness 4, toughness 3, so it's 3 to wound, not bad. Double 6s, auto hit, doesn't matter. So those 2 are through. 0 AP with the bolt pistols, so this is going to be the 3+ regular save of the Fire Dragon, so a little bit of a better regular save than the Dire Avengers. And 1 has died because they only have 1 wound apiece, and the other has saved. So that is the loss of a Fire Dragon. They're a very expensive unit. I've just removed 1 there. He's going to be standing beside the Dire Avengers. If they can get some firepower off here, it's going to be fantastic because, you know, you have the Eradicators that are Primaris Marines. They have 3 in a unit and they have Melta weapons. This is a unit of 5. 4 of them have a Melta variant weapon, and then the Exarch has a fire pike, as does Finnigan. So that, if I can get them in and get some good rolls, could probably decimate that entire Tormentor section. We'll have to see. Sorry, the Infractor section. I'm getting those 2 mixed up. I'm just going to keep calling them Emperor's Children. There's like the hand-to-hand combat Emperor's Children, and then there's the ranged hand-to-hand combat Emperor's Children. Anyways, so we'll get back to it. We're going to move over here to the Seekers that are fighting against the Wraithguard, and we're going to see how those Wraithguard do in hand-to-hand. I'll just bring it over and show you guys that to break this up a little bit. So just to sum up that shoot, we had the 2 that were here fire in, as well as these 2 of the Emperor's Children. They did kill. It was actually these 2 that are in range, but I removed the model on that side. They're just easier to get at. So the Fire Dragon did lose a model. The Exarch still has 2 wounds. Each of them has a wound apiece, and then Finnigan is still there with full 5. We're going to move over now for hand-to-hand combat. I want to see how these Wraithguard do in hand-to-hand. There's a hand-to-hand combat variant of the Wraithguard, but I decided not to build them that way. I wanted to get those Wraith Cannons in there. Hoping to get better rolls with them too if they survive this, because they can also really do some damage and decimate some things, but you have to get that 4+. But this is the Seekers with the initiative, so they will be fighting first, and then we're going to see who survives from the Wraithguard, and from there they will be able to do a counterattack. Alright, so here we go. This is the Seekers with the initiative here. They actually have some pretty good, it's not amazing strength, but just a ton of attacks. So there are the Slashing Claws, which are 3 attacks per, and then there's extra attacks, which is the Lashing Tongue of the Fiend of Slaanesh itself, and it's got demonettes on the back. So the Slashing Claws are the demonettes, and then the Lashing Tongue is from the Beast of Slaanesh. So we're going to get to this right now, and it is going to be 3 wounds per. There are 5 of them, so let's do this. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 attacks. This is reminding me of Von Ryan's Leapers from our Tyranid battles. If you guys want to check it out, I always like to do kind of a toss out, throw out to my other videos. So we have Last Stand series, Surrounded series, Fight 'em Up 40K series. We have Fight Force 4, 2 narrative crusades that we've done. One was the Astra Militarum, which was mainly Acadian, and then the Adeptus Sororitas. Spoiler alert, the Sororitas did not do great. I did put them up against some very difficult enemies, and they're a hard force to use. The Aeldari are seeming to be a little different. I thought they might kind of line up a little bit with the Sisters because the toughness is 3, a little better armor, but the Aeldari weaponry is way better. So we're going to see. I'm still really liking them, and I think I might do my next narrative crusade with the Aeldari. We'll see how the rest of this battle plays out. And first things first, we have to see if these Wraithguard are going to survive. So here it is. 15 dice. This is the Slashing Claws of the Demonettes, hitting on a 3+. They don't have any rerolls or anything, so we're going to remove anything that's not a 3 in there. I apologize if I sneeze too. I'll try to cover the mic. I'm about to sneeze here in a sec. It's these old aquarium plants. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys. Hopefully that didn't burst your eardrums. So anyways, these are all through. It is strength 4. The Wraithguards are a toughness of 6, though. So this is where it's going to get tough. It's going to have to be 5s here for the Seekers to wound. And some pretty okay rolls there if you were through. So I'm going to remove anything that's not a 5. Oh, sneezed again. Sorry. So these are through. It is a -1 to AP. So I'm going to pull these dice out. It's 4. This is now our Wraithguard making a save. They have a 2+ save usually, so this goes up to a 3+. Again, very good unit. And not a good roll. So I'm just going to see here if they have any kind of feel no pain, or if the Spirit Seer, I forget if he can give them any ability. Yeah, he can return them at the end of this battle during the command phase. So we're going to see what happens here. Those are all through, sadly. There's nothing there that's going to save them, and there's actually no invulnerable save. So we have, luckily it's only 1 damage per. We have 1 Wraithguard that has been killed. They have 3 wounds apiece, and then 1 has been wounded down to 2. So I'm just going to move over to the other side of the table, make sure that I do that properly. So 1 is dead. 1 is down to 2 wounds. Luckily, it's only 1 damage for those Seekers, because if it was 2, that would have been a lot worse, and I might be able to get that Wraithguard back, so that'd be great. Oh, man. Those aquarium plants are old, and they've got kind of like a weird smell. That's probably why I'm sneezing. Anyways, there we go. So that's it for the first onslaught of attacks. Now we move to the Lashing Tongue, which is the Fiend of Slaanesh. I apologize if I called them a beast earlier. It's a Fiend of Slaanesh, or at least that's the way they used to be. I'm not sure anymore. They've changed a lot of the names and stuff. These things were never Seekers before. They were like demonettes on Fiends of Slaanesh. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 attacks with that. There we go. All right. So here we go. Lashing Tongues hitting on a 4+. And yeah, a lot of those those are through as well, actually. So over 50%. And it is also strength 4 versus a toughness of 6. So this is going to have to be 5s to wound. And that's better. Only 1 is through. There is no AP with the Lashing Tongue. So this is going to be the regular 2+ save of the Wraithguard. It's weird. These things are... It's crazy how they make the rules because, you know, like... I'm always thinking about StarCraft sometimes with this stuff, like the rock, paper, scissors, you know, Terran, Zerg, and Protoss, and just how they have the different elements, but keep everything balanced. And these Wraithguard, like on paper, when I saw them at first, like really, really good, but there is a bit of frailty to them, which is very similar to, you know, the elves that I was talking about earlier. They're, you know, long, slender creatures, and these things are made out of wraith bone. They've got a, you know, a soul inside of them. They don't have that invulnerable save, which like a, you know, a Terminator would have, that's Adeptus Astartes or Primaris Terminator. So there's some really good stuff about them, then also some stuff that's a little tricky. But anyways, we have saved it. That's amazing. So we still have our 4 Wraithguard left, the possibility of a 5th coming back, and we do have the Spirit Seer as well, which is also in hand-to-hand since he's leading that unit. So we're going to see how they do on the fight back here. So this is going to be close combat weapons. As I was saying earlier, the Wraithguard do have a hand-to-hand combat variant, which has an axe and a shield, I think. So those may have an invulnerable save. But I wanted to have those weapons, and I was really hoping they were going to be able to do well. Anyways, so it's 3 attacks per, so this is going to be 12 in total. So 3, 6, 9, 12. I just want to make sure 2, 4, 6, 8. I also have 20 red dice. So this is hitting on a 4+, and again, this is where, you know, we're seeing a bit of that vulnerability where a Terminator, I think, would probably have a 3 or maybe even a 2, especially if it's like a Dark Angel's Knight or something. But here we go, hitting on 4+. Okay, and we're going to remove the dice that are not 4s. They don't get a reroll or anything, but that's still quite a few that are through. It is strength 5 against the Seeker's toughness of 4. So I'm just going to reroll these. Well, I have to. So this is going to be 3s to wound. It's crazy too. Like, I've only maybe not done a video in a month and a bit, but the amount of like creep that's happened in regards to my ability with rolls and just the quickness of it is gone. Anyways, so we have 4 that are through. I'm going to grab 4 dice here. So it is 0 to AP. This is going to be a regular 5+ invulnerable for the Seekers. And they rolled well again. That's crazy. So 3 of those were saved. 1 is through. They do have 2 wounds apiece. So that is kind of a stalemate. We still have the Spirit Seer that's going to be able to fight here. And there is 1 wound that's been taken from one of the Seekers. I'll give that to the one at the back here. So from that, we have 1 Wraithguard down. 1 is down to 2 wounds. And then we have a Seeker that's down to 1 wound. But we still have the Spirit Seer. So let's see. And I'm hoping that he is no slouch, or she. I don't know what's in there. So melee weapons, we have the Witch Staff. So it's going to be 2 attacks, hitting on a 2+, so that's pretty damn good. And I better get a fucking roll. So I got a 1. That doesn't do anything. This is through. Strength 3 versus toughness 4, though, so I need a 5 here to wound. And a 3. So nothing happened there. That is pretty much a stalemate, and that is the end of the Emperor Children turn 2. This is flipping back over to the Aeldari, and this is where they have to make a move, and they have to start killing a lot of models, or those objective control points are going to be, I believe, in the favor of the Emperor's Children. So I am going to do the move for the Aeldari, come back, show you guys that in a sec, and we'll get this one on to turn 2 for the Aeldari. Aeldari turn 2 movement is complete. The Wraithguard are holding their ground with the Spirit Seer, and I'm definitely hoping for some better rolls from my Wraith Cannon. The Wraithguard was brought back with the Spirit of Isha, or whatever it's called. I mentioned it at the beginning. So you're able to bring back one slain model. It doesn't say if it's one wound or not. So I brought the model back with full wounds. You can also return up to D3 wounds from a model if there's none that are dead, but this one was, so I brought it back, which is an absolutely incredible skill that the Spirit Seer has. And again, these things are autonomous, like wraith constructs with a spirit in them, so he can just conjure them back up and the spirit comes back to life and boom, there it is. So if I can continue to keep doing that, I might just get them right into the objective control next turn, see if they got the movement. Speaking of objective control, we have Finnigan, our warlord, and the fire dragons inside. You guys might be thinking super dangerous because now they're all in range of plasma pistols and bolt pistols and hand-to-hand. But I am taking a gamble here, and I'm hoping that those weapons they have, their Melta variants for the Aeldari, are going to be able to absolutely cook the infractors here. I'm going to call in the Emperor's Children Space Marines because I'm not sure if they're infractors or tormentors, but we'll see what happens. Over on the side here, we have the other either infractor or tormentors. And my Dire Avengers have moved back. Next turn, it's not going to really matter. But I wanted to stay outside of the 6 inches of the Melta gun because it will get a bonus with that Melta 2. So they are going to use those Avenger Shuriken catapults to fire in and hopefully just shred this entire Emperor's Children Marine unit. And then in the back here, hiding behind the structure, is the Lord Cacophonist and the Noise Marines. There's just not enough space and they don't move fast enough to have climbed up the tower. If they had, I think the Dire Avengers would be dead by now. They would have been sonically evaporated inside their armor by those crazy ass weapons. So we're going to move it here though. It's going to be the shoots now for our Aeldari. I'm not getting into hand-to-hand with them until it's absolutely necessary. I kind of want to see Finnigan in there though, because I think he'd be a bit of a Chad when it came to hand-to-hand, but we'll see. So let's move it. We're going to do Dire Avengers first. We'll move across the table, get everything in the tray, and see how they do on their shoots. So we're going to start up here with the Dire Avenger squad that is down to the 1 Avenger and the X-Arch. I'm going to be using the Aspect Shrine token here for both because I don't know how long they're going to last. So with that locked in, again, once per battle for each Aspect Shrine token this unit has, you can change the result of 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll made for a model in this unit, excluding character models, to an unmodified 6. So it doesn't say like you can change the result. So I'm guessing that means that it automatically hits by using the token. It doesn't say that you have to reroll. It just says change the result of 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll. So we'll see how I do. That'll flip over if I make all of my hit rolls, and I'll move it to a wound roll. If I need it and I get no hits, I might as well flip it to something so at least I can get a wound out of it. So this is the Avenger Shuriken Catapult, 4 attacks, 3+. I want as many shots as I can get, so I'm going to change that to a 3. I didn't add anything, it's just allowing me to do that. So I'm going to remove the token because I've used that ability. I'm not going to have it for my Exarch or my Exarch. So 3 or through, it is a 4 versus a 4, so 4 strength, 4 toughness, 4s to wound. And yeah, I picked up the 5. Maybe I would have lost that if I hadn't done it. So 1 is through. It's a -1 to AP. That's going to be a 4+ save. And it didn't matter. The Emperor's Children saved it. That's not great. So when you guys have a full unit going of the Shuriken catapults from the Dire Avengers, pretty good. But if you're just down to 2, not as great. I still do have the Shuriken pistol though, so it's hitting on a 3+. Got that. It is strength 4, toughness 4, 4 to wound. Didn't get that. So that is it for that Avenger squad. They might be going down next turn. I do have my other token on the other side here, and I plan to use that here also because that is a full 9 unit of Emperor's Children still, and they each have 2 wounds except for 1 against Dire Avengers that have 1 wound apiece, 2 wounds for the Exarch. So I have 4, 8, 12, 16 shots coming down for my Dire Avengers, so I'm hoping that this is going to be enough to shred, and I can also change one of the hit rolls because I'm going to be using the Aspect Shrine token. Also, I should remember this too, the Shimmer Shield is a 4+ invulnerable save, and that is for the Exarch that I have. So he does actually have a 4+, the rest have a 5+. So when the shots start coming down on him, I'm going to have to remember that if he's the last one in that unit, or if some 4s are rolled, I can use his save instead of the other Dire Avenger. But that is next turn if I need to use it. So here we go. This is the Avenger Shuriken Catapult from the healthier section. 16 shots hitting on a 3+. Come on, we need some rolls here. So a few fell off, still not great. I'm actually going to use the token for this. So I'm going to change this 2 to a 3. It doesn't really matter, it seems. So that means that one of the shots has gone through. I've removed the token as a reminder. So these are through. It is strength 4, toughness 4, 4 to wound. This is going to be big. Got maybe 50%. So I'm going to remove anything that's not a 4. Yeah, a little under 50%. So we have 5 shots that are through. I'm going to grab 5 dice here for the Emperor's Children. That is the -1 to AP. So we're going to a 4+ save instead of a 3+ save. And another pretty good roll. 2 have gone through. So our 1 Emperor's Children Tormentor is dead. And that 1 wound is going to flip over to one of his buddies here. So not a great roll. Currently the Emperor's Children are kind of crushing this. They've only lost 2 models and the Aeldari have lost 4. So here we go. Move that out. I'll just take the camera off, show you guys what's up. Oh, nope, not yet, because we still have the Exarch from the other squad there. I just want to see, make sure he's got his pistol. He does. So we're going to do the Shuriken pistol. By some chance, it's only 1 shot. Need a 3+. Need a 4+. Got it. -1 to AP. 4+ save. Nice. There we go. So a little bit better. I was just about to tear them a new butthole, but we lost another Emperor's Child, a Tormentor. So that has been removed. So a bit of a better round. They were able to kill 2 outright. That's 4 wounds total. And now I will show you guys. So take it off here. So here is the aftermath of that fight. We had this unit use their token. We had the Shuriken pistol and the Shuriken catapult fire. This squad here was able to get 16 shots, about 50% hit. And the Tormentor section here is down from 10 to 7, which is better than nothing. I'm now going to move over to the Fire Dragons. Very excited to see how they do. And then finish it up with the Wraithguard and see how they do against those Seekers. But let's do the Fire Dragons first. And if they can just blap Aeldari Melta all over these Infractors. Don't want to get too excited because I did that with the Wraithguard earlier. But if I get some good rolls here, it might be lights out for these Infractors. So there was a Fire Dragon that was lost. There are still, however, 3 that have Dragon Fusion Guns. It is 1 attack per, so it's tougher to get a roll out of it. It's a 3+, so not the worst ballistic skill. They're also in their bonus Melta range. So the Dragon Fusion Gun is an Aeldari version of a Melta gun. It is a strength 9 with an AP of -4, and the damage is D6, and you get a Melta 3 if you make the hit, and that's from each of them. So there's a possibility that we're going to get a lot of wounds here. The Exarch as well has a Fire Pike, which is a strength 12 weapon, -4 to AP, D6, Melta 3 as well, longer range at 18, so that's actually pretty good about taking out tanks. And then we also have Finnigan, who I'm going to finish up the turn with. Or this, not the turn, but this ranged bout. And he also has Seer Song, which is a fire pike that is souped up. So it is a Seer Song Lance. And that is 18 inches. It's a Melta 6, strength 14, 2+. That might be one of the best weapons I've ever seen on an infantry model in the entire game. Anyways, you still have to roll. It's only 1 attack. There's also the beam of it. So this is also pretty good against Infractors. It's 3 attacks, so a better chance of rolling. It's a Melta 1, 2+ to hit, strength 8. So I might end up using that just so I get the extra attack and extra roll. But with their token, Finnigan's not going to be able to use it, but the Fire Dragons can. I'm going to be using their token here to make sure that they do get some kind of hit here. And that again is once per battle for each aspect shrine token this unit has, which is 1 in this case. You can change the result of 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll made for a model in this unit. So there we go. I'm going to start up with the fire dragons here, and we're going to be using their dragon fusion gun. It is 1 attack per, so we have 3 of those. This is where it's tricky. You got to get the roll. So here we are. I can change one of these as well. So I might use that actually with the fire pike though. Don't think I'm going to use it here. So let's see how we do. 3 pluses. Fuck. See, this is what I mean. So even though it's a 3+, I didn't get those. I can use the token to reroll that, but I want to use it for their Exarch. So there's going to be 1 that's through. Strength 9 against toughness 4. This is going to be 2 to wound. I swear to God, if I would have got a 1 there, I would have been crazy. -4 to AP, so the infractors actually don't get a save. And this is going to be D6 damage. And we got 5, which is fantastic. So that is, just going to grab my dice here. 2 wounds apiece, so that's 2, 4. 2 models are dead. 1 is down to 1 wound, so this is what we want. You can just imagine if I was able to hit with the other 2, how that would have been. But I'm saving that extra token roll for the fire pike that is with the Exarch. So this is going to be, oh, hold on. Yeah, it's Melta 3. So we got that attack through, so that's an additional 3 damage. So I have to remember this. That's actually 1 more Marine dead, and the wound carries on. No, 1, 2. Yes, so 1 Marine is dead on top of that, and there's also a wound that's been generated. So that was a full 8 damage that went through. Let me just count that. 2, 4, 6, 7. No, he's dead. Because we roll the 5, and then there's the D3. So that's 3 whole models. 2, 4, 6, 8. So that is 4 dead Marines from just 1 of the Dragon Fusion guns working. So here we go. This is the fire pike. And we still have Finnigan after this. Need a 3+ here, though. I don't want to get too excited. Got it. Strength 12, toughness 4, 2 to wound. And if I hadn't gotten that, I could have done the roll piece, so I probably should have done that for the Fire Dragon regular troops, but that's okay. -4 again. The infractors do not have a save. They do not have an invulnerable save. This is going to be D6 damage once more. And that's another 5 damage plus Melta 3, so 8 damage total. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8. From that attack, we only have 2 Emperor's Children Marines remaining. These Fire Dragons are probably one of the best units I've seen. As I was saying, the Eradicators for the Primaris Marines, like, they're awesome, but there's only 3 models. This is 5 models, and they're being led by a Phoenix Lord. So pretty damn good. Now we're going to do Finnigan, and I'm going to do the Seer Song Beam, just because we've been able to take out so many. So this is 3 attacks, hitting on a 2+. Okay, I can't use the token on him because it's not part of his unit. Used it on the Fire Dragons anyway, so it's done, but 2 are through. If I'd done the Seer Song Lance, I might not have hit, so this was a good move. Still strength 8, toughness 4. This is going to be 2s to wound. Oh my God. I'm just going to see if he has an ability to reroll anything. Yeah, no. So I was really stoked. Still a really good round, but Finnigan was not able to come up in the end there. I'll rip the camera off here again because we've been in the tray a lot, but that is where Warhammer happens, so it's always exciting to see that go down. There they are. So we had 4 Fire Dragons and Finnigan, and actually only one of those Fire Dragons was able to shoot, but they were able to do that much damage. And then the Exarch was also able to shoot, and that's what really did in the infractors. There's only 2 remaining, which is fantastic. That cuts down their OC points too, because this is going to be whichever unit has more strength at the end is going to have their OC points counted. So there we go, and there's still a turn after this. They're within the range. Noise Marines, however, are tricky, and if they can get out here next turn for them and start putting some of their sonic blast stuff down on the fire dragons, it might shake them to mush inside their armor. We're not done yet though. We still have the Wraith Guard. I'm really hoping for those rolls to be better this time and have that Wraith Cannon just absolutely shred those Seekers. So back over to the tray, we'll get that going. So this is finishing it up here for the Aeldari turn 2. We've seen some pretty good rolls from those fire dragons. The Dire Avengers are just kind of hanging on. Hopefully they're going to be able to keep going. Those Noise Marines are there. But this is going to be the Wraith Guard versus the Seekers. The Wraith Cannons did not do great last time. I'm hoping that's going to change. The Spirit Seer was also able to bring back a model with full wounds again. So let's see how it goes. It is going to be, I'm going to roll them all at once. 5 Wraith Cannons hitting on a 4+, so that's the tricky part here. And once again, not a great roll. 2 of those are through. They do not have an aspect token either because they are dead warriors. They don't fall into any of the different paths that remain. So they're just, you know, automatic kind of spirit wraith constructs. So this is 2 are through. Strength 14 versus toughness 4, 2s to wound. We got a 2 and a 3, so that is through. -4 to AP, but those Seekers do have that 5+ invulnerable. They rolled very well last time. Let's see if it happens again. So looking for 5s here for the Seekers of Slaanesh. And, oof. So 1 saved. This one did not. And with the Wraith Cannon, again, if all of these were firing, absolutely devastating, but it is D6 + 1 for only 1 of the guns. Let's see. So it is a 4, 5 in total. That is going to be 2 models dead. So we have actually 3 because 1 was already wounded. So we have 1, 2, that's 2 4 wounds. And then the last one is 5. So the Wraith Guard have been able to kill 3 of the Seekers of Slaanesh. There's still 2 remaining, and we did see them do some pretty good damage there in hand-to-hand combat, but not a bad round there either. So that is the end for our Aeldari turn. I will take you guys off again here and just show you the aftermath of the fight. So at the start there, we had the Dire Avengers fire in. They used both of their tokens. They were able to take out a few of the Tormentor Marines, but they're still pretty strong. Noise Marines haven't moved. They're holding down the objective at the back. The Fire Dragons, absolutely phenomenal. We're able to wipe out almost an entire section of Infractor, Chaos Space Marine, Emperor's Children. And then our Wraith Guard came through with just 1 of the Wraith Guard cannons firing. I actually did not do the Spirit Seer, and he's got range attack, so we'll have to put that in just before we finish up. Glad I didn't switch the turn there, so my finger is still on the piece and chess. But yeah, they did a great job against the Seekers, and we're going to see if the Spirit Seer can do a little bit more range damage here. So not an incredible weapon, but I'm glad I caught it. So the Spirit Seer does have a Shuriken pistol. It is hitting on a 2+ as well. You got a 3. Strength 4, toughness 4, 4 to wound. Got the 4. -1 to AP as well. So not the worst weapon. This is going to be a 5+ invulnerable. And there you go. Just like that. The Spirit Seer popped a little shot out of his little pop gun there and was able to take a wound off of one of the Seekers. So now there is 1 Seeker with 2 full wounds. That's the Seeker Champion. And then we have the other with 1 wound left. It is flipping back over here for the Emperor's Children final turn. I'm going to have to get some strategy here before we start up because I want to make sure that they may have enough objective control points and possibly moving those Noise Marines out to start to kind of weaken the Fire Dragons maybe, but that is a far run for them. It's 6 inches. I think the Noise Marines may have to actually squeal out on the side here and put their firepower down on the Dire Avengers to try to liquefy them in their armor and lessen that point. The Seekers as well are going to have to go at the Wraith Guard. Probably, yeah, it's only hand-to-hand combat. Unless I have them jump in on the Fire Dragons with the 2 remaining Infractors. So yeah, I got some strategy to think about from the side of the Emperor's Children, and I'll be back in a sec to show you guys what I've done. Emperor's Children, turn 3 move done. This is their final turn. The things are not looking great for the Dire Avengers. There have been the Tormentor squad right in front of them. Everyone is in range for the Melta bonus, for the Plasma bonus, all of that stuff. So they're going to be taking an onslaught of firepower. At least they do have that 5+ invulnerable. The Noise Marines have moved around the corner here. There are 3 of them that are in line of sight and in range against the 2 Dire Avengers here. This is not possible. If I come down here, they would be shooting their buddies in the back, so that's not going to happen. But that is going to be 3 Noise Marines with Sonic Blasters and whatever else firing into 2 Dire Avengers. The Dire Avenger here, the Exarch, does not have a Shimmer Shield, so he's not going to have that 4+ invulnerable. That is for this guy here. And then up top as well, which should be in range and in line of sight, the Lord Cacophonist has got up on the tower. In this case, I think it's more of a water tower as opposed to Prometheum, but he also will be able to fire down on those Dire Avengers, so I don't know if they'll be able to survive. Hopefully they can. The other plus here is the Noise Marines are still in the objective, so they have objective control, and so does the Lord Cacophonist. Over here, we saw the Fire Dragons do amazing in range. Now they're in hand-to-hand combat. The 2 remaining Infractors and the 2 remaining Seekers have gone in. They will have the fight first initiative on that fight. Fuegan is in there though, and I'm hoping he's going to be able to deal back some damage with any of the Fire Dragons that survive that. And then over here, our Wraithguard were spared, and I don't know if they have the movement at 6 inches to be able to get into the complex for objective control. I'm going to try my best next turn, but we'll see what we can do. And maybe the Spirit Seer has something that can maybe help them with that. We'll have to check the abilities again. But over to the tray, we're going to get the shoots done first over on this side, and then we're going to be doing the hand-to-hand combat right over here after that. Good luck, Dire Avengers. Here we go. This is the Noise Marines. The 2 up front have the Blastmaster. There's 2 different profiles for that. So there's the single frequency, which is more for vehicles, and then the varied frequency, which is going to have a strength of 6. So still enough to make the Dire Avengers have to roll, well, very easy for the Emperor's Children to roll, being 2s, and then it'll be a lot more saves possibly for the Dire Avengers. So I'm going to lock in the varied frequency. It is 6 attacks per. We'll do the first one here. So this is the first Noise Marine up front. This unit is really good as well. We had them in Last Stand series. I was actually super impressed with how they did against the bigger Tyranid models. I think they actually finished off the Carnifex, but Fulgrim was in there too on his own later. So I might be screwing that up, but I think they might have been able to take out the Carnifex as a unit of Noise Marines. But here we go. This is the Blastmaster, varied frequency. First one, 6 attacks, hitting on the 3+. And not a great roll. So we're going to remove 1, 2, 2, 1. So those Dire Avengers keep getting lucky. It is a strength 6, toughness 3. It's going to be 2s to wound. And another one falls off. All right. Not bad. It is a -2 to AP. That's going to be the 5+ invulnerable for the Dire Avengers. Didn't save that, and it is 1 damage, so we have lost the last Dire Avenger in that unit. All that remains is the Exarch, who has 2 wounds, so hoping that he might be able to hold it together. Okay in hand-to-hand too, but I don't think he's in range unless he wants to try to take on the Tormentors next turn. But a little skinny elf in armor versus a 10,000-year-old Space Marine, I don't know. It's been kind of souped up by the demon Slaanesh. We'll see. So that was the first one. This is the second. So the Dire Avenger Exarch still has to survive some pretty big stuff here. It's going to be 3 pluses to hit. That was a way better roll. So every single hit through there, we have 3, 3, 5, 5, 6, 6. It is strength 6, toughness 3, 2s to wound. Also much better. This is not boding well for our Dire Avenger Exarch. So there are 5 attacks through. I'm going to switch the dice out here for red. So we're tracking that. So again, -2 to AP. This is going to be 5+ saves for the Dire Avenger. Did save 1, but that is 1, 2, 3, 4 wounds that have gone through. He has 2 wounds total, so that Dire Avenger unit has been lost. They've died on this jungle planet in the middle of nowhere, fighting She Who Thirsts. So here we go. This is now going to be, since the Noise Marines don't have any line of sight, they'd be shooting their fellow Space Marines in the back. They're not going to do that. We move on to the other squad, and they are also nothing to be taken lightly. We still have a melta gun in there, a plasma gun, a plasma pistol, and 4 bolters. So we're going to start up with the melta gun because that might be enough, actually. So we're going to bring up the Tormentor profile. Still have the Dire Avengers open. So we're going to start with the melta gun. Black dice. It is going to be a 3+ to hit. Got that. Strength 9, toughness 3. It's going to be 2s to wound. Got that as well. So this is 5+ invulnerable. The melta gun has a -4, but since we have the invulnerable, at least it gives us a shot. Didn't save it. Oh, fuck. This is 6 damage. 5. So that is just like our Fire Dragons did earlier. That is the entire Dire Avenger squad except for the X-Arch. And the X-Arch only has 1 wound remaining because that Melta Blast, it just slaps against everything and is pretty much the temperature of the sun. So it's melted those Dire Avengers to ash. The X-Arch does have a 4+ invulnerable, so that's going to be here going forward, but he still has to survive a plasma gun, plasma pistol, and then 4 bolt guns. So we're going to start up with the plasma gun. I'm not going to supercharge it, so this is going to be standard. In the hands of a Space Marine, much better than that of an Imperial Guardsman. So even though these guys are traitors, they're still superhuman Space Marines that are souped up from the Dark Gods. So here we go, 3+. Got it. Strength 7, toughness 3, 2 to wound. Got that as well. Not good. -2 to AP brings our Dire Avenger up to that 5+ again. Sorry, 4+ with the Shimmer Shield. It doesn't matter. Got a 2. It is 1 damage. That is enough. So our Dire Avengers have been lost, and that means that their objective control points are also lost. They were our most numerous units with 10 in total. So we've lost a lot of OC there. This is looking like it might go Emperor's Children way. I'll just pull the camera off and show you guys what's in there right now for the objective control. And I'm going to add this up at the end of the fight. It's not adding up at every round. So the way I see this is like that wall there would go across to here. It's kind of like a circle around the base. And just with the amount of models that they had, like we needed to get really good shots right off the bat. So the Dire Avengers, like tons of shots. It didn't roll great. Now we have the entire Noise Marine section. They're still, I'm considering this a full unit because there's no one here to compete against them. And the Lord Cacophonist up there. That is some OC. The only other OC that we have for the Aeldari side is the Fire Dragons, Finnigan, and then the Wraith Guard. So we have to see how this hand-to-hand goes, because if that unit goes down to 1 or 0, that means that the Emperor's Children and the Slaanesh models are going to have the OC points there, and all that's left is the Wraith Guard. They move 6 inches. I might just be able to get them into the facility, but that's their OC points in the Spirit Seer versus 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 or 5 units of Emperor's Children. So we're going to get to the hand-to-hand. This is it for the Emperor's Children turn, luckily. So let's see how they do. That is the Infractors and the Seekers with the initiative. And then it's going to flip back over to the Fire Dragons if they survive it. Over to the tray. Hand-to-hand combat here to finish off Emperor's Children turn 3. This is the Infractors going first, then it will be followed by the Seekers. And we know that the Seekers have extra attacks, so that's going to be tricky. I'm putting this against the Fire Dragons. I was thinking about maybe putting all of the melee attacks Finnigan to begin with. But I want him to still be alive to be able to fight back here if they survive. He does have the ability to come back, but you have to roll to be able to do it, so it's not 100% guaranteed. So I want to make sure that he's got the best chance of fighting back, because if you can kill these 2 units, that's 2 OC points gone, and then that might be a max of 3. It's going to be super tight. So let's see how it goes. The Infractors have their Dueling Sabers and Power Sword, Rupture Lash. I'm just going to see what these 2 models have. Oh, they both have Dueling Sabers, it would look like. They're kind of very Slaanesh-y looking. Unless I still have my champion, it might be a Power Sword. I think it's a Power Sword. So we have 1 Power Sword and 1 Dueling Saber. So these are not slouches in hand-to-hand. They're some of the best swordsmen that the Imperium had at the time during the Great Crusade. Perfectionists, dueling artists, fencers. Fulgrim was one of the best swordsmen in the entire Imperium, other than maybe Sigismund and a couple of others. But yeah, they're really good. So here we go. Power Sword. This is the champion of the Infractors. It is hitting on a 3+. So 1 fell off. Strength 5 with that Power Sword versus a toughness of 3. Again, this is where those Aeldari are a little more frail. Long, lanky creatures. Not much muscle on them. But their weapons are fucking crazy. But here we go. So we're looking for 3s to wound. And 1 fell off. That's a bonus. So that helps out our Aeldari. The Power Sword is -2 to AP. That brings our Fire Dragons up to a 5+ invulnerable. Oof. 1 was saved. 1 was not. Luckily, the Power Sword only has 1 damage. So I am going to be removing another Fire Dragon model. This is getting very, very down to the wire here. Because there's 2 OC points there. 1 for the Fire Dragons, 1 for Finnigan. And if the Fire Dragons kind of lose anybody else, it means that might flip over to the Emperor's Children and Slaanesh models if they can't keep alive here. So the next one is the Dueling Saber. That's also 4 attacks. And it hits on a 3+. So we had 2 that fell off, which is good. Strength 4, a little lower, but it's still going to be a 3+ to wound because of that toughness 3. Another one falls off. These Fire Dragons have a lot of luck. So the Dueling Saber is -1 to AP. That brings the Fire Dragon up to a 4+, so not quite the invulnerable. And it didn't matter. That is 1 damage again, so we've lost another Fire Dragon. So there is only 1 Fire Dragon model remaining with the Exarch and Finnigan. And there is still the Seekers to attack now. So they have the next pick here of who they want to eat or slurp or whatever they do. They probably have barbed tongues or something. I don't know what they do with those tongues, with those Slaaneshi deviants. Anyways, here we go. So Lashing Tongue first. That's the 2 attacks. So we have 2. Actually, no, we're going to do the Slashing Claws first. 3 and 3. So this is hitting on a 3+. Fuck. Okay. Ooh, okay. So that one, all that fell off. This one didn't. Luck is still kind of there. I dropped the dice. Ooh. It is Strength 4, Toughness 3, 3s to wound. Both of those are through. -1 to AP as well. So this is going to be a 4+ save. Nice. They saved both. That's fantastic. Okay, if they can survive this, we got a chance. So the Seekers, Fiends of Slaanesh, ridden by Demonettes. 2 attacks per with their Lashing Tongue. This is extra attacks, hitting on a 4+. Harder to hit, but let's see. And not a bad roll. So we have a 5, 5, and a 6. Strength 4, Toughness 3, 3 to wound. And 1 fell off. Oh, this is going to be tight. So a 3 and a 5, those are through from the Seeker. 0 AP, so this is a 3+ save from our Fire Dragons. They saved both. So here we go. There's still the Exarch left, 1 Fire Dragon and Finnigan, and they are fighting back here. I am going to be taking on the Infractors first, seeing if I can finish them off. And that is going to be done by the Fire Dragons. So their close combat weapon, not amazing. They don't have a Dragon Axe because I gave the Fire Pike to my Exarch. So it's a 2-handed weapon. He does not have a Dragon Axe. If he did, much better chance, but let's see what we can do here. So we have 2 close combat weapons coming in here from the Fire Dragons. That is hitting on a 3+. Okay, that one hit. That one hit. That's good. Strength 3, though, again, not as strong as the Space Marines. So Strength 3 against Toughness 4, 5s to wound. And those 2 fell off. I also used their token earlier, so I don't have the ability to change a hit roll or a wound roll. 2 are through, though. 0 AP. It's going to be a 3+ save from the Infractors, and both have been saved. So that is it. Our Fire Dragon and Exarch have tried their best. This is going to be now on Finnigan to take these two out. Finnigan does have a fire axe. Even though he's got that fire pike, he is so good that he can have a fire axe as well, I guess. So this is a much stronger attack. We have 6 dice. So this is, you know, the same level as, like, I'd say a little bit higher than a Space Marine Captain. This is more like, it's like a named character. So you're looking at like Tordera Garadon, Marnius Calgar, like that kind of level. So against regular infractors, I'm hoping we can do some damage here. So it's 6 attacks hitting on a 2+. Ay. 3 ones. Jesus Christ. Does he have anything to reroll with? Ugh. Burning Lance is pretty sweet. I didn't need it, but it adds 6 to the range characteristics of melted weapons. This guy is really good. And the Fire Dragons with him with them is incredible. Anyways, didn't roll great for his hand-to-hand. 3 are through. I can't re-roll anything. He doesn't have a token. So strength 5, toughness 4. This is going to be 3s to wound. Fuck. Another 2 fell off. This is not good. So we do have 1 through. It is a -4 to AP. The infractors cannot save because they do not have an invulnerable. It brings them up to a 7+, which is impossible. So it is 3 damage. That means that another infractor has died and 1 wound has been allocated to the infractor champion. That is it for their turn. It is flipping back over here to the Aeldari for their final move. And this is going to be for all the marbles. So I'm actually looking here. I'll show you guys. I'm going to pull the camera off and show you what I'm thinking here for my strategy with the Aeldari. This is the first time I'm using them too. They're very interesting compared to some of the armies I've had. Like, I don't want to bring them in full blast, but with that invulnerable, they could. You know, if I had wave serpents in here or something, some kind of transport, it might help them out. Kind of like your orcs, you want to bring them in, make sure they can get nice and close. But these are range models as well. So you're dealing with range. They don't have a great toughness, so it's a little tricky. Like, you want to keep your distance, but you also want to get in there. So my Wraithguard are here with the Spirit Seer. I can try to move them into the facility if that's 6 inches. I'm also going to see if the Spirit Seer has an ability to give them extra movement. If I can get them to here, though, they might be able to have line of sight and range to try to decimate this Tormentor unit. We'll have to see. Here, this is really tricky. I think I'm probably going to be using those melta weapons again. They did absolutely fantastic. I could go into hand-to-hand combat. The 2 Fire Dragons, not amazing. Finnigan, pretty good, didn't roll great, but if he had rolled better, I think it would have been really good. So this is all on the Aeldari now, and I could make a mistake with my strategy. I only have 2 units left. There are 4 units of Emperor's Children remaining, and that's just because of their numbers from the start of this. For 615 points, you get a lot more Emperor's Children models. So I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to strategize a bit, come back, and we'll get this gameplay in action. And I'm going to see if those Wraithguard can get in, and I'll show you guys what happens with the move as soon as we're back. Aisha, lady, one day you'll be real. Aisha. You guys remember that song? It's great. Anyways, Tears of Isha, not Aisha, but Tears of Isha was able to return 1 of the wounds back to my Wraithguards there, back to full strength. That is also an absolutely fantastic ability if you have a Spirit Seer in there. These 2 Wraithguard at the front are inside the facility, so I'm going to give that unit subjective control to the pot. They're also going to try to fire at these 2 Tormentor Emperor's Children Marines on the right because they're in line of sight. If you bring the camera down, you can see them right there. So they're in line of sight and they're in range. And then my Fire Dragons are going to try to incinerate the remaining Infractor and Seekers here, holding this side of the table with the OC points that are generated here. So right now we have Finnigan, we have the Fire Dragons, we have the Wraithguard, and we have the Spirit Seer, all parts of that objective control points. So the Spirit Seer is attached to this unit. This unit's in, so I'm saying they have it. and that would be the same deal I would do on this side too. So the couple of the infractors are just outside, or tormentors are just outside, but I'm counting them in because the rest of their unit is. And then the Noise Marines definitely are, as is the Lord Cacophonist. So we're going to get this over to the tray. This is the end of the battle. We're going to have the Aeldari doing range to finish up, and I believe they are a ranged force. I wouldn't use these guys, at least these models, in hand-to-hand combat. I think I'm going to go ahead with the Narrative Crusade with them, though. I think it would be absolutely fantastic to see them come in with 1,000 points to start, maybe 1,200 if I give them a little bit of extra requisitioning points. Get some models in there, get some basic troops in, see what they can do with that range. Taking on other models as well, like they're kind of allies with the Space Marines, not really, so I'd be fighting Space Marines in their campaign, Tyrannid, Chaos Space Marines. I have Red Corsairs now, World Eaters, as you guys have seen, so I think it would be a really cool campaign, maybe based around like they're trying to find Spirit Stones that have been taken from them from like high up Aeldari officials or something. I'll figure out some kind of synopsis and story for it, but I think that's what I'm going to do. So apologies to you World Eaters players. You're still going to see them, but they're going to be on the enemy side. And I think we're going to do our next Narrative Crusade as the Aeldari, see them grow. I also have to check out all of their Crusade rules and see what we want to do there. But this one is not over, so let's get to the tray and finish it up. So now more than ever, we need these Wraith Guard with their Wraith Cannons to actually do some damage. I may pick up another group, the hand-to-hand combat variant here, or switch these out as D-Scythe. Like they've got the Wraith Cannons attached to them, but I might make them D-Scythe for the next game. That's why doing these kind of little test battles are really important to figure out just what's best for your force. But that Torrent weapon of a D6 with a Strength 7 is absolutely fantastic and a -3 AP. But we do have Wraith Cannons on their loadout this time, so we need 4s here. Got 1 4, see what I mean? 1 fell off. It's going to be Strength 14, Toughness 4, 2 to wound. Got just a 2. -4 to AP. The Tormentors cannot make a save, so it is going to be D6 plus 1. That is 6 damage. So we have killed 2, 4, 6. That's 3 Marines. I picture these things, the Wraith Cannon, almost like a las cannon, I guess, because it would blast like right through a line. So there's 3 that are done. That is it for the Wraith Guard. Good job, guys. They're in there. I actually do have my Spirit Seer, but I don't think he's in range with that Shuriken pistol. Let's just do a quick count. I want to make sure that he's got that. And he is not. He's also not in line of sight, so he can't fire. That might have been 1 extra wound taken off. That would have been max. So now we're going to move on to hand-to-hand combat. And this is, or sorry, the remaining range attack. Apologies. This is the Fire Dragons and Finnigan doing their range. And with Finnigan's ability here, I have to make sure that it's not going to matter, but he does give the Melta weapons an extra 6 inches, which is fantastic, but it's not going to be needed here. It's literally face-to-face, so these Melta weapons are going to be getting all of their bonuses. I should call them, sorry, the Dragon Fusion Gun. So we have the 1 Fire Dragon remaining with the Dragon Fusion Gun. We'll roll that first. It is hitting on a 3+. Didn't get it, of course, when I need it most. Now it's the Fire Pike. This is the Fire Dragon X-Arch, so 3+ as well. Come on, 3. Just got it. Yay. Strength 12 against Toughness 4. It's going to be a 2 to wound. Got a 6. More than enough. That's fantastic. -4 to AP. They cannot make a save, so this is going to be D6 damage. And we got 5 wounds against them. So this is only 1 unit because they're not teamed up. So that is the end of the Infractor champion. He is done. Now it is over to the Seeker. So what happens there with a weapon, like in hand-to-hand combat, you're locked in. It can go across the unit, especially if they're touching. But this weapon was aimed at a unit, so the shots don't like come over to the other side. It doesn't work that way. I can do it with another weapon. Because Finnigan here he didn't shoot at that unit, he's going to be shooting at the Seekers. But since the Fire Dragons put their weapons on the Infractors, that's it for them. So we need Finnigan here to kill these Seekers to have a chance. So let's see what our Phoenix Lord of the Fire Dragons can do here. I'm going to be using the Searsong Beam again. More than enough strength here from the weapon to do some damage, hopefully. So this is 3 attacks hitting on a 2+. All through this time, fantastic. Strength 8, toughness 4, 2s to wound. Come on, one fell off. I don't have any tokens or anything that I can do there. -3 to AP, so this is going to be a 5+ invulnerable for the Seekers. And 1 saved, 1 did not, so the Melta has splashed against them. And we're going to see what kind of damage is going on here. So it's D6 damage. Sorry, no, it's 2 damage. So let's just look here. So it has killed the 1 Seeker icon bearer, and there is the Seeker champion remaining. She is, I'm going to consider her in the facility, but since there's only 1 of her, the Fire Dragons outnumber her. So they're going to take the OC points. So I will be back in just a sec. I will show you guys how this table looks at the end, and we're going to add up the OC points as we go through each model. I'll do that on the app just to be sure, and we'll close this one out. All right, so that is the end of this one. Turn 3 is done. Not a bad round for the Aeldari to finish it up. I've learned a lot of stuff about them. Very unique force to use. Amazing firepower, not the best staying power. So if I can keep range with them and keep enemies away, very good. They'd be really good against someone like the Death Guard, I find, kind of like my Imperial Guard. As long as you can keep the Death Guard away, because they move so slowly, you can chip away at them, but you need distance weapons for that. And Astra Militarum Imperial Guard are the best with their tanks, their mortars, their heavy weapons. So we'll see. I'm going to do that Narrative Crusade with the Aeldari and go ahead, but let's see who won this one. So on the board, what we have remaining for the Emperor's Children are the Noise Marines, the Lord Cacophonist, and we have the Tormentors. So there is only 4 Tormentors remaining, but that is enough to be able to hold this side. So we're going to add this up. The Lord Cacophonist has 1 OC. The Tormentors have 2 OC, so that's 3 points. And the Noise Marines have 1 OC, so that's 4 points total. Flip it over here, so we have 4 points Emperor's Children. And then on this side, the Seeker is outnumbered, so she is not going to be counted as an OC. We have Finnigan, who has 1 OC. We have the Spirit Seer, who has 1 OC attached to the Wraith Guard. We have the Fire Dragons with 1 OC. And we have the Wraith Guards with 1 OC. So this one is a draw. 4-4. We have 4 points Emperor's Children, 4 points Aeldari. If they had not done what they did at the end there, the Fire Dragons came through and were able to wipe out those 2 infractors. That would have been a tie on that side. I would have nullified the points, and the Emperor's Children would have won this one. So a very good start. Emperor's Children came in with a lot more models, as you guys saw at the beginning, for 615 points. The Aeldari were also super hard to kind of construct with the 615 points. Base. I was kind of over and under, and I just finally got the right mix there to match up perfectly with the Emperor's Children numbers, and it showed on the table because this one is done and it is tied for all. Again, guys, please, if you want to watch my other playlists, go right ahead. We've got tons of content. Been making these for a little while now. Love doing it. Finnigan 40K. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and we'll be back, I think, with an Aeldari Narrative Crusade, unless anything changes. But yeah, thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.